History teaches that all empires fall. So why does Europe still protect the story of the one that didn't? Every school teaches you about the great European empires, the Spanish conquistadors, the British sun that never set, the French colonial machine. But here's what they don't teach you. They all failed. Every single one. Except one. And the reason why reveals something shocking about power itself. Because the empires that conquered the most, they fell the hardest. The one that never tried to conquer anyone, still here, still rich, still powerful. Let me show you the pattern they don't want you to see. Let's start with Spain. In 1580, the Spanish Empire was the most powerful force on Earth. They controlled Mexico, Peru, the Philippines, parts of Italy, the Netherlands, and they had more gold and silver than any nation in history. So what happened? They got lazy. That's the simple answer. But here's the deeper truth. All that gold destroyed them from the inside. Think about it. Why build factories when you can just ship gold from America? Why innovate when you're already rich? Spain stopped making things. They bought everything from other countries. Clothes from France, weapons from Germany, even food from abroad. Here's the question that should make you think. Can you get weaker by getting richer? Yes, you absolutely can. By 1640, Spain was bankrupt. They had declared bankruptcy 4 times. 4 times. They had all the gold in the world and still couldn't pay their bills. Why? Because they never built an economy. They built a shipping operation. When the silver mines ran dry and their ships started getting attacked by England and France, it was over. No industry, no innovation, just debt and memories of glory. The empire that seemed unstoppable in 1580 was a joke by 1700. The lesson? Resources without productivity is a trap. Now let's talk about the biggest one, Britain. In 1920, after World War I, the British Empire was at its absolute peak. 458 million people under British rule. That's a quarter of humanity. Canada, Australia, India, huge chunks of Africa, islands everywhere. The sun literally never set on British territory. 83 years later, gone. Almost all of it, gone. Here's what I need you to understand. Britain didn't lose because they were weak, they lost because they were stretched too thin. Imagine trying to control India, 400 million people who want independence, while also controlling Africa and the Middle East and protecting shipping routes across 3 oceans. And oh yeah, you just fought the most expensive war in human history and you're completely broke. That was Britain in 1945. Ask yourself, how do you control people who don't want to be controlled anymore? You can't, not without endless money and endless soldiers, and Britain had neither. India got independence in 1947. That was the big one. Once India left, the whole thing unraveled. Why? Because India was the jewel, the profit center that made the empire worth having. Then came the Suez Crisis in 1956. This is the moment Britain realized they weren't a superpower anymore. They tried to take back the Suez Canal in Egypt. America said, no, stop that. And Britain stopped. The empire that once gave orders to the world was now taking orders from Washington. The lesson here? Empires collapse when the cost of control exceeds the profit from controlling. Britain was spending more money defending the empire than they were making from it. Basic math killed them. France is interesting because they lost their empire twice. First time, Napoleon. He conquered most of Europe, crowned himself emperor, seemed unstoppable. Then he invaded Russia in 1812 with 600,000 men. He came back with 100,000. That winter killed his empire. Second time, after World War II, France tried to hold on to their colonies in Vietnam and Algeria. They fought brutal wars to keep control and lost both. Here's the question. Why did France fight so hard when Britain let go? Pride, national identity. France saw itself as a civilizing force, spreading French culture and language. Losing the empire meant losing their sense of purpose. But the world had changed. The age of empires was over. People wanted self-determination, and France learned the hard way that you can't force people to stay French. Algeria's independence war lasted 8 years. 8 years of fighting, and France still lost. By 1962, the French Empire was essentially finished. The lesson? You can't fight history. When the world changes, you either adapt or you get crushed. So, what's the pattern? Why did they all fail? First, overextension. Every empire got too big. Spain in the 1600s, Britain in the 1900s, they all controlled more territory than they could actually manage. Distance kills empires. Communication delays, supply line problems, local rebellions. The bigger you get, the more can go wrong. Second, the costs disease. It costs money to run an empire. Soldiers, administrators, infrastructure, wars to put down rebellions. Eventually, the cost becomes more than the profit. When that happens, you're done. Third, rising challengers. Spain faced England and France. Britain faced America and the Soviet Union. When a new power rises and you're already stretched thin, you can't compete. Your money's gone, your people are tired of war, and the new guy is fresh and hungry. Fourth, internal rot. This is the big one. Empires get comfortable. They stop innovating. They rely on old advantages that don't work anymore. Spain relied on gold. Britain relied on naval dominance. France relied on cultural superiority. All of it became obsolete. Here's the uncomfortable question. Are we watching this pattern repeat right now with modern superpowers? I'll let you think about that. So, which empire survived? Switzerland. Wait, what? Switzerland was never an empire, you're thinking? Exactly. Switzerland is the European power that's still wealthy, still independent, still influential. They never conquered anyone, never had colonies, and never tried to rule the world. And that's precisely why they're still here. While Spain was bankrupting itself shipping gold, Switzerland was building banks and watch factories. While Britain was spending billions controlling India, Switzerland was staying neutral and trading with everyone. While France was fighting in Vietnam, Switzerland was hosting peace negotiations and storing everyone's money. The question you need to ask, is the key to lasting power not trying to dominate everyone? Switzerland figured out something the empires never did. Soft power beats hard power in the long run. They made themselves useful to everyone. Banking, diplomacy, precision manufacturing, neutrality. Countries that tried to conquer the world all failed. The country that just wanted to be left alone and make quality products? Thriving. No empire to defend, no colonies demanding independence, no overstretch, no wars bankrupting the treasury. Just steady, boring, profitable stability. Interesting. So here's what history teaches us. Every empire that tried to control the world through force eventually failed. The costs always exceeded the benefits. The challengers always rose up. The overstretch always became fatal. But the power that focused on being excellent at a few things, that didn't try to conquer, that made itself valuable rather than dominant, still here. Final question for you. What does this tell us about the empires and superpowers of today? Watch the patterns. You've seen them before. Overextension, rising costs, new challengers, internal decline. History doesn't repeat, but it definitely rhymes. If you found this valuable, subscribe, because understanding these patterns, that's how you see the future before it arrives.